There we go. There we go. It's okay, folks. I'm alive. I do have a lot of delay, though. Oh, dear God. Contrary to the last time I was streaming on here where I ended up blacking out, I'm very much cognate this time. Although we are going to do everything in our power to avoid doing that again. Whether it's 5 or 10 of you or however many. That was embarrassing. Yeah, let's not repeat that. But in any case, I'm hoping everyone's doing well. For those of you that have tuned in up to this point so far. So, this is going to be a little bit different tonight. Normally I stream the weather. And I mean, we are. And there is actually even some active weather going on right now, too, to go along with it. But instead of doing live coverage right now, I do kind of want to talk about the pattern ahead here, because things are going to get pretty busy. So, I'm going to try to get you guys ahead of the game here, and we'll just kind of go on from there. We'll make videos from beyond this point, but basically you're going to get an idea of the starting point. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on tonight, although it's not really a whole lot, just mainly why I didn't end up covering it, although weather has been relatively significant. Tonight we've had reports of golf ball sized hail, 70-mile-per-hour winds. Chasers are out there right now actually chasing pretty strong storm over towards Pawhuska, Oklahoma, heading towards Bartsville. Main thing to worry about with that will be damaging hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. Like, you can see up to maybe baseball-sized hail. But outside of that, there's really not a lot going on. Was a reported tornado earlier this afternoon, but beyond that point, not much going. Like I said, not really a whole lot going on. Do have slight risk for tomorrow and Friday. We did talk about that in the last forecast video that we posted a couple days ago. So go ahead and quickly discuss that and go on from there. So tomorrow's threat, there actually is a pretty broad 5% tornado threat area. Depending on how things pan out with this, we may actually go live and cover it. But we do have a 15% wind and a hatch risk for hail over here, of course, towards Texas. Usually during this time of year, we'll see these hatch risk usually a little bit further up to the west of our risk areas. So from Midland to Austin, getting moderately close towards Houston, we could see some pretty big hail possible there. May see an upgrade with this tomorrow, possibly. We'll get into the details with that a little later. Our J3 threat, we see our severe threat sneak off to the east here. We're getting back into including the Gulf Coast states once again. We're including Mobile, Alabama once again. We're just to the east of Houston here. We have just about the entirety of the great state of Louisiana here. Mississippi Delta is involved as well, so from Greenville all the way south, all the way to the Gulf, and in between we have New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Alexandria, Jackson, Mississippi in there as well. Chance for severe weather once again. I do think that we could see a linear mode with damaging winds, possibly the leading threat in this situation here. From that point onward, we're at predictability too low on days 4 through 8. And we're going to discuss these because there is a little bit of model variability or model discrepancy, as it would actually be called. That's going to come into play here and make things a little bit difficult with the forecasting. But I would not be surprised if the days ahead end up getting uptrended to maybe slight risk or maybe even beyond that. So actually go ahead and take a look at some of the models here. So I don't do these discussions too much here, or at least not live. We do them more on Discord, and we do want to kind of make this thing more for members especially, but This pattern's kind of alarming a little bit more, so more than a little bit more so than some of the other cases. So I kind of want to make sure that everybody knows about this one. But in any case here, this is what we have going on right now with our upper level wind pattern. We're looking at the trough at the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. It's about 30,000, close to 40,000 feet above our heads here. So what we're mainly looking for are troughs here, and this is a trough that we're seeing here. This was spawning severe weather over here towards South and North Carolina. There's actually a tornado warning over here a few hours ago just off the South Carolina coast. Of course, that threat has now since moved offshore, so that's no longer a problem. We do have this trough right here, which is causing a little bit of trouble and will continue to as we continue to go forward. So what we're going to be looking for as we continue to move forward here, this week is going to be kind of active, but it's not going to be anything that's of major concern to me at this point. It's really going to be as we get later down the line here. This heading into tomorrow, like I said, nothing super impressive going on here. The threat for severe weather is there, but as we continue to go forward, this trough, not a huge deal. This one, not so much. But as we get towards, let's say, the 19th and beyond here, this is where we start to see some more potentially troubling signs here. This signal kind of interests me, and this is on the evening of the 19th. And then as we go beyond that point, this is the 20th, where we see a very similar look kind of take shape there. See a really interesting looking trough begin to take shape here. And then even the 21st, I'm kind of interested in what's going to happen there. Then another thumbnail day, 22nd. I'm watching that in particular. 23rd, also pretty strong trough. This could be a big deal for over towards the Central Plains. And then beyond that point, like I said, just gets more and more active as we get towards the end of the month here. See a multitude of troughs kind of coming into play here to close out the month of May. Historically, it's our most active month for severe weather, and it looks to close out and remind us all once again. But the main thing that I want to make note of here, and I'm going to put this in a loop so that way we can keep this in motion here, is just look at how many troughs we get. And what I'm mainly looking for are negatively tilted troughs, and I did see a couple of them through the loop here. So these first two troughs, I mean, they're troughs nonetheless, so you have to watch them, but this trough here starts to take a negative tilt. The trough in particular that seems to interest me the most would be this one right now. Of course, the threat would be a little bit further north for severe weather. And then there's this one right after it that I'm keeping an extra close eye on as well. So, eyes front here as we continue to go forward into the month of May here. And maybe even the start of June. We'll do an outlook video. We're doing an outlook video on June here. Probably within the next 3 to 5 days. We'll see how things pan out with the weather forecasting stuff with these setups, but at some point we're going to try to sneak that in there. But from what we can all see here, like I said, pretty clear indicator just from looking at this one map alone that we're going to see an increase in storms here. So getting a little bit more in depth here, we're going to look at the mid levels of the atmosphere, and we're going to look at how strong the short waves are. Short waves are going to be the key component to these severe weather setups in regards to stuff like lift. And what you're looking for in a short wave are going to be these isobars right here. When these troughs start to come in, and I'm really just going to move up to the 19th and beyond here, this is when you'll start to see those indicators of those short waves here. You'll look for little ripples within these contour lines like this right here, for example. Those are going to be your points of lift. And this was the day I mentioned before. It's the evening of the 19th. This is Sunday night, actually. This is actually Sunday night. So you can see short waves all through here. Exactly what we would be looking for in regards to our severe threat. So there's one here, 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 and here. So pretty much all the way through eastern into central and even southern Kansas. There's quite a few of those. Got some through Oklahoma here. We also have some even through Nebraska. But I think the greatest point of interest is going to be right here towards the Kansas-Oklahoma line as of right now. Keep in mind this forecast is variable and it's prone to changing. So if you are watching, do check in on the videos later down the line here, because this is, like I said, it's pretty much variable. Also, other areas over here towards the east that have to be watched too, towards Florida. I do think that Florida is going to be maybe an area that gets slept on possibly in the future, within the coming weeks. So if you're over towards maybe eastern Florida, towards Jacksonville, Daytona Beach, might want to keep an eye on the weather as well, especially since school's going to be ending soon and that's going to become a very popular spot. So as we continue to go forward here, this is going to be the following day. It's heading into the 20th. I do see some signs where we see short waves. Once again, Kansas this time kind of leaning a little further north towards maybe even Nebraska. Have to watch that area as well. Oklahoma, Kansas is there too, but I'm thinking that the severe area is going to shift slightly to the north here. As we continue to drag on, the 22nd is another day. This actually was what I mentioned in the thumbnail here. You can see the same thing kind of going on there. We have short waves, again, associated with a trough here. We see a much better example of these as we get later into the evening. I do think that this might even be a Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska event here, possibly. Timing is going to be a key factor to a lot of that. Then as we go beyond that point into the 24th, 24th is where I start to get really interested, because this is when we start seeing those negatively tilted troughs. And negatively tilted troughs usually produce more significant severe weather. Of course, with us being over 200 hours out, no reason to get super excited just yet, but do need to be watching the trends here. But from what I can see here, does look like we could have multiple areas, maybe a large scale setup here if this trend holds. Like I said, 222 hours out. We're looking at almost 10 days out here. Can't really hammer down who and where exactly is the point of interest at this time, because this run that you see now, literally by the time we get towards about 1 o'clock tonight, new run's going to come in and it may not show this at all. So with that in mind, what I'm seeing right now, if this trend holds, central Kansas, maybe even eastern Kansas as we get later into the evening, Oklahoma, maybe also towards Nebraska, maybe even towards Colorado, even Wyoming could get into the action here. But I think the most favorable area right now is definitely leaning towards, again, our favorite area this year, it seems like. Southwest Oklahoma here. Kansas-Oklahoma line. Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, of course. And then, like I said, I am suspicious of this spot over here between the Wyoming, Nebraska, and Colorado line, state areas. The tri-state region here, I would say. And yes, this is a tri-state region for anyone that is wondering. I'm not going to get into an argument with anyone there. But in any case, though, as we continue to go forward, we do have another storm system that sneaks in right behind this. We see more short waves as we get into the following day here. Then here's our next storm system to go along with that. Again, timing is going to be the main thing that kind of works against us in trying to hash out this forecast, especially since we don't have as many models available around this time frame here. In fact, GFS is the only operational one I have. But from what I can see here, this is the 27th heading into the 28th. You can see it. Another short wave right here. Central Kansas, central Oklahoma. Once again, uncertain as to what the convective mode will be. May lean towards the imaging winds. I'll have to see how things pan out. But all of these setups do look like they have the potential to be conducive to all modes of severe weather. So damaging winds, tornadoes, hail, flooding, all of that on the table. So keep an eye on this as we head down the line here. We're not a fear-mongering channel. We mainly just want to make sure that we're keeping people up to date and aware. But as we continue to go forward here, we do see evidence of even more storm systems to follow after this one. Of course, 300 hours out, we're definitely in no man's land at that point. No point in screaming and shouting, saying, "Oh my goodness, it's a tornado outbreak to end all times." No, we don't do that here. But still, got to keep an eye out. We're going to make sure we try to do what we can to keep you safe here. So next area we're looking at, and this is going to be one of the key components to tornado genesis. It's going to be that low-level jet here. 850 millibars, always low-level jet. Even have that command here on our Streamlabs bot here. So if you type in the phrase exclamation point LLJ, you'll get a definition of what low-level jet is. So in any case here, the main thing that we look for with low-level jet when it comes to severe weather events, that south to north type flow like what you're seeing here. Sometimes it'll be an even like southwest to maybe slightly northeasterly flow. Basically, you want these barbs kind of pointing more in this direction like what you're seeing here. But in any case, though, you do even see these with the setups for tomorrow. But look how much more prevalent they're going to get once we get towards that May 19th, 20th time frame in the storm systems after that. Look at how we're already starting to see that well ahead of the system. In peak time, like I said, from these storms, from what I've been seeing right now, as I can anticipate it, right at about, I would say, just before sunset or maybe a little bit after towards this region. Look at that. There it is. That south to north flow that we always look for. There it is. And we'll actually go ahead and take a look at the skew T's a little bit later. But like I said, I think our points of interest are going to be right here. There are, of course, other parameters that we want to look into before we get into the really crazy looking stuff like the skew T's and whatever. This is just basically a general overview that I'm giving you for right now. If you want to stick around for the skew T's, be my guest. I'd be happy if you would, of course, obviously. But in any case, though, we get towards the 20th. Do see that low-level jet still present. Not quite as impressive, but it's still there. Could be a overnight threat here, too, depending on how this trends. Like I said, over 100 hours out, a lot of times for things to change. Get model runs from the GFS every 6 hours. So what we see after midnight, this could be completely different. So take it with a grain of salt to a point, but do keep an eye on it. Continue to go forward. Notice how always that low-level jet strengthens. So just because the sun sets does not mean that your severe threat ends. So if you're out here living in the Midwest, Great Plains here, you can get overnight storms. You can get nocturnal storms, and those are honestly the most dangerous. I do see the potential for maybe a linear event with this again on the 21st, heading into the 22nd. A little bit unclear as to how this is going to pan out. Depending on how much shear we end up getting, we could see embedded supercells within a main line, but I do expect a linear event to take place over here towards Missouri, Arkansas, maybe even heading into Illinois and Iowa as well. After that point, this is where I really start to get interested in the low-level jet, because these troughs, once we get towards the 24th and beyond here, start to get really strong at this point. Even on the 23rd, you kind of see it, but timing might be a little bit of a factor here. If this low-level jet ramps up a little bit earlier with this setup on the 23rd, even, I'd be concerned about that. I think 24th in particular right now really kind of interests me. Like I said, I'm really thinking the central Kansas towards this point is going to be the point of interest, and then we go on from that point. And then we watch that head out. Here comes the next trough right after that. I think I might have passed it here. Not quite as impressive of low-level jet. at this point, but like I said, there's plenty of time for this to uptrend or downtrend. So have to keep an extra close eye on this. But in any case, though, even as we head towards the end of the model run here, which is 384 hours, about 16 days total, you can see that we end up getting that north to south flow coming back in once again. So depending on how this pans out, we could literally end the month with a pretty significant setup here too. Of course, like I said, max I can go is 384 hours. So next run will even be pretty telling as to what happens for the very, very end of the month. So the next thing we're going to do actually is get into the thermodynamics here a little bit. So we're actually going to take a look at dew points. Dew points are actually part of the thermodynamics in case anyone doesn't know. And what we're going to be looking for, those 60-degree plus dew points here. You're going to get a lot of flow from the Gulf of Mexico. That's another reason why we look at the low-level jet, especially when it has that south to north flow like this, because it's letting us know that we're getting plenty of moisture being pumped into that environment where we can expect those storms to pop up here. So by us looking at that low-level jet and looking at where that trough is, we have two things that we've already looked for in our severe weather parameters. We have our shear and we have our lift. Moisture usually helps with instability, so this is why we often look for it next. So this is even heading into tomorrow's setup already. You can see rich dew points, 60s, even 70s, meeting the standard, and then some, honestly. We're exceeding it. And on Friday's setup, same thing. And then fast forward, here we go, getting into the 19th and into the 20th. Look at how strong of a return we get here. We get those 70-degree dew points pushing all the way up even into central parts of Kansas here. Like I said, this was my point of interest I was thinking of in regards to the setup for the 19th. So this is Sunday basically that we're looking at, by the way. Just reiterating, this is Sunday. But right towards this area here, towards central Kansas, maybe even towards the Kansas-Oklahoma line, is where I'm thinking that we could have some real trouble here if things continue to persist as they would on this model here. There are other models we should look at as well. And I'm going to try to remember to mark this time right here at 102 hours so we can compare some models. But in any case here, central Kansas right now towards Wichita would be my point of interest. So if anyone's chasing, not a pro chaser myself, honestly, but if I were a betting man, I would be looking around here right now. Of course, like I said, forecast is prone to change, so I guess if anything, maybe just use that as a starting point. But in any case, though, as we go into the following day, we can see that we still have a really strong moisture return, and this trend does not go away. That's the thing about this. This trend holds up pretty much throughout the rest of the month here. So rarely are we at a point where we start seeing dew points below 60. So even if the kinematic environment, basically the wind profile, which is what we were looking at first at the start of the stream. Hello to everybody who's tuned in so far, by the way. Even if the wind profile isn't that impressive, if we get enough instability and the environment's ripe like this, where we have these rich dew points and also really good surface temperatures, which we'll look at in just a second, you can still get some pretty significant severe storms. Maybe not as widespread as what you would expect with a classic outbreak, but still very dangerous in its own right, and you shouldn't play around with it. Now, another thing that I'm looking at, too, as I continue to go forward with this, and I'm backtracking now, what I'm looking for are gradients here. Gradients like this. A gradient where you see, or a contrast, if you would, where you see dew points behind this little area right here where we're getting into like 34 or 26, for example, right? And then if you go into the blue like this, where it rapidly just picks up into the 60s like that, that's another point of lift. That's called a dry line. You see a dry line like that, that's usually another favorable point for severe weather. So you can see multiple modes here. Now, the timing of the dry line is a key factor to a lot of different due to I can't speak. Now, the dry line is a key factor to a lot of the convective modes as well. So, as we go into the 19th and 20th, there are a couple of areas, like I said before, where the dry line's gradient looks decent. Not the most incredible gradient that I've ever seen, but it's one nonetheless that I will be keeping an eye on. Like I said, just like with the model updates, that can uptrend, that can downtrend, and with that, you have to just kind of play it by ear and keep an extra close eye on it. Really, you're not going to get much clarity on that until you get into the convective model range, which obviously at 100 hours, we're not in range of it just yet. It's probably not going to be in range for at least another 48 hours. But in any case here, if I'm just looking at the GFS alone, heading into the 20th, see a little bit better gradient here. Gradient kind of tapers off a little bit as we get into the 21st. And then after that, we do get a little bit of a drop off in the dew points here finally as we get towards the 23rd. But watch what happens when that trough that I was talking about on the 24th comes into play. Starting to get a better dry line here. And like I said, I think over towards both of these areas, I think there could be a pretty widespread event here on the 24th if this holds out. It's heading into evening, overnight hours. I think there could be I would almost be willing to call this maybe a cold core setup that tries to develop over towards Nebraska. I think it could even start earlier in the day over towards Colorado if things pan out like I think they're going to. Because I do think we'll see an uptrend in moisture towards that area earlier in the day. And then on top of that, there's other stuff that kind of comes into play, like the gravity wave off the mountain, that kind of stuff. I'm going to spare you that. I'm going to spare you all of that madness, because then you could get as far as quantum theory and that stuff. And that's some stuff there's some stuff there that even I don't know. Because while I'm a nerd that's very studied with this, I've still got a long way to go. And even then, I don't know everything. But in any case here, definitely seeing evidence of storms. You can actually see that right where we would expect storms on the night of, on the 24th, you can see these little blotches of where that moisture was really strong, was really intense, where we have those dew points in the mid-60s. All of a sudden, they drop off into the 50s. Storms are ingesting that moisture. Simply put, that's why you're seeing these blotches here. So, could be even a high precipitation event with that, which is pretty cool to see on the dew points here. Here I go, nerd now. Anyway, though, as we continue to go forward, look at how eventually the moisture just continually recovers. Some people have even been comparing this to some really active severe weather years like 2011, 2013, which is pretty eye-opening if I were to say so myself, because I remember those years. 2011, we had a multitude of severe weather outbreaks. I don't know which month in particular they're comparing it to. If it's April of 2011, then that's very alarming. And then obviously the month of May in 2013 was very alarming. I'm hoping that they're not referring to particularly that time frame between mid-May in 2013 all the way to the end, because that was when we had the big tornadoes and more and El Reno and etc. We'll have to see how things pan out, but I do see some things that definitely garner my attention here for sure. So here we are towards the end of the model run. Like I said, I did see inklings of maybe a storm system trying to come in right around the end of the month here. Do see the moisture return to kind of go along with that, so do have my concerns with that as well. If we were to go ahead and take a look at the temperatures now, nothing necessarily in particular that we're looking for with temperatures other than having a warm sector that pushes up to the north here, or warm nose if you will. While I'm not necessarily trying to find exactly where the warm front is, if you look at the temperatures as they push north throughout the course of the day, or off to the east here, It's pretty good. It gives us a relatively good idea of where our warm sector is. So it's not a rocket science thing, I guess you could say. But as you can see here, you can see where our warm sector is over here. It's pretty abundant here, especially over towards Texas as well. Now, getting into where the fronts can end up can get a little bit complicated, and that's the main reason why I'm not getting too heavily into detail with that. There are ways I can point that out, but I'm gonna spare you that one today. In any case, though, as we get into Friday, you can see multiple areas where we're getting into the 70s and 80s. And anyone that's curious or anyone that works outside do want to pay attention to this map, I'm going to make sure that everyone sees their area here. But it's going to be pretty warm across the southeast. It's going to be very warm across the plains and, of course, over towards the southwest. Summertime for a lot of us here, so, you kind of know how this goes. There are areas where we can expect shower and storm activity, especially towards the Ohio valleys, where we're going to have some slightly cooler than average temperatures there, especially with the active weather pattern that we have. Now here is where things start to get more interesting. Right around the 19th, look at that warm sector right there. So basically right around here, again, right towards Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska. You can even see a few storms trying to fire over here towards western Nebraska. But look at those temperatures, 80s, 90s, maybe even some triple digits. But very abundant warm sector. And then notice this blotch that pops up right here. I'm going to go back on frame again. We're at 92 over here towards western Kansas. This was over towards Goodland. Boom. See that little blotch right there? Storms developing right there. Cooling down the atmosphere right here at the surface. So what this is basically telling me, and we were having dew points that were over towards the 60s and even the 70s here. We're going to have a lot of energy for these storms in this environment here. Usually those heightened surface temperatures will help increase instability. Instability is a great way of indicating what our lift is going to be like. So we just talked about earlier how we had wind shear here. We just talked about how we had lift. We just talked about how we had moisture. Last element that we're looking for is instability. You can literally liken severe weather to a simple acronym, SLIM. Shear, lift, instability, moisture. We got all four of them for this setup here as we head towards the 19th. And we're going to have it for the 20th as well. Same thing. And even for the following setup on the 21st, we're going to have that too. I think the 21st, it could be a little bit of a sleeper here. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one especially. I think a lot of people are going to talk about the 19th. I think a lot of people talk about the 20th. 21st, though, does need to be watched as well, though. So we continue to go beyond that point. We're going to go ahead and get into the 24th in particular, which I'm really interested in as well. Do think that could be a pretty stout setup. Like I said, I do think that there's going to be a northern mode to this. I am interested in that southern mode especially, but I think we could have a pretty widespread area as well. Hi, Mia. I think this is the first time that we've done a stream here where there isn't an absolutely large, violent tornado ongoing. So, hope you're enjoying that. But in any case, does look like I said before, on the 23rd, 24th, could see a widespread event with that, just based off of everything else we've looked at so far here. Again, really, really broad warm sector here, so I think a lot of areas are going to come into play here. So I do see, again, a few areas of interest right here. Storms might struggle a little bit here with this as well. Could be a cap in place here. But I do think that could break as we get into the overnight. In fact, there's an indicator right there. That blotch that we were talking about earlier. Look at that. 90, boop, 66. My voice is still struggling to recover from being sick, so I might sound a little off. But in any case, though, you can see the indicator right there. So we go towards the 26, we start to see a little bit of a downtrend, and then right towards the end of the model, like we mentioned again, coming right back into play once more. Get that warm sector back right towards the end of the model run. There's your first telltale sign right there. Like I said, it could be a pretty broad area on the 31st that we'll need to watch. The 30th and the 31st we'll need to watch. Yeah, you're not in a risk factor either. It's nice, isn't it? Well, we're talking about what could be ahead here. It could be pretty busy, so might want to pay attention. Even though it doesn't seem like your area right now is a point of interest, it could still come to be that as we get later down the line. So, one thing that I'm trying to figure out now, though, because normally what I like to do, especially if I know there's going to be a big setup, is I'll try to look at the precipitable water. But considering how long range these events are, I don't want to say that, oh, this is a guarantee and you're going to get this particular type of supercell. That's not what I'm trying to. That's not the message I'm trying to convey here. So I think I'm actually going to change it up a bit. So what we're going to do instead is go and verify our evidence here. Because a lot of times with meteorology, I do think of this sometimes as like a scientific method. You're trying to find evidence to back up your forecast. Anyone can make a hunch. It's a different thing when you're trying to use models to verify your so-called hunch. So what we're doing now is we're looking at our instability. So with instability, it's usually the best way to find it is by looking at our CAPE, our convective available potential energy. So basically, joules per kilogram is the mode that you would use to measure this. About 1,000 joules per kilogram is minimum what you would look for with a severe weather setup. And what I see here as we head into, this is from earlier today, of course, as I mentioned before. And then here's tomorrow. Good bit of instability available, about 3,000 joules per kilogram, more than enough. We'll actually go ahead and click that and see what the skew T sounding looks like. Now, one thing I'm going to say about the skew T soundings: do not get excited when you see this as the hazard type. Okay, so it shows that with directional shear, maybe this could produce a tornado. Not completely out of the cards, I mean, especially with the lift index being as it is. But there's one thing in particular that tells me that this could struggle with tornado potential, and that's the shear. We look towards the surface to 1 kilometer region here in the shear. It's at an 8. You want to be at a little bit closer to a 20, and you can kind of see that being shown here on the hodiograph as well. There you go. Not really much to work with here. Yes, contingents, you got it right. Definitely hail. Definitely leans into a hail sounding for sure. Lapse rates are there. Ship is there, of course. Plenty of instability. I mean, you and I, we've seen this 1,000 times. So it's not surprising that this is a hail sounding. Very slim chance for a tornado. Not impossible, but again, really leaning more towards hail sounding. So message we're conveying here is just because you see the possible hazard type as Tor doesn't mean you're going to get a tornado. You're not a shoo-in to get a tornado. And this is towards Central Texas, by the way. So if anyone's watching in Central Texas and you're worried, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be slapped tomorrow. No, you're not. You're not. Not off the grounds of that, at least, I should say. Now if things uptrend, that's a different story. But just off the grounds of that evidence alone, no. You're fine. Now, hail might be a little different. Also appreciate the likes, guys. Thank you. So if we look towards Friday, again, just like we mentioned before, looking at the dew points, looking at the surface temps towards this area, not surprising that we're going to have a lot of energy here once again. 3,000, maybe even a couple areas sneaking into the 4,000 joules per kilogram region for severe weather. Do think that we could have a multiple type of hazard threat. I do think damaging winds will be the main threat here. Again, same thing. Don't necessarily disregard the tornado threat, but this, again, kind of leans into that hail sounding once again. I do think that they may extend that hatch risk with hail a little further off to the east here. And even then, this isn't the most impressive hail sounding that I've seen either. But again, with the tornado threat, shear is a tad bit better, but not by much. So I think at it is funny looking contingent, especially the veer back up at the higher levels. But in any case, though, if we had higher SRH or storm alert felicity with the low level shear, I would be a little bit more concerned with it. But it is kind of trending in a decent direction here. But yeah, would I say that anyone's going to be slabbed off the ground to this? No. Is it possible that you could still get a tornado? Yes. Oh my god. Swimming through the air. Yes. Yes. Like, that is describing what that feels like to a T. Oh my goodness. Especially with me, like I said, you know what my actual job is, like my day job. So I feel for these folks. It's probably just another day for some of these guys, but daggone it, man. Like, I hate when the dew points get like that, because literally you could just stand outside and you can just sweat everything out of you. Hey, if you're hungover and you can't get to a sauna, just stand outside if you're in Louisiana. That's one way to do it. That's one way to straighten yourself out. Okay, so here's where things start to get interesting. We're going to kind of bypass the 18th just a little bit here. And then, oh boy. Here we go. 4,000 joules per kilogram easily. I wouldn't be surprised if we even sneak into an area where we get about 5,000. It's towards central Oklahoma. I did talk about this a little bit on Discord yesterday, right before we went to bed. Now, this looks a little bit better. The shear's better. This does look a little bit more conducive to tornadoes for a number of reasons. Our shear's right at just about on the cusp of that threshold mark, around 20 on our surface to 1. There does look like we have a little bit of capping that goes on, but it does look like it breaks pretty easily. I'm interested to see how the mid to upper levels pan out with this as well. But this has a dangerous look to it for sure. We have a lot of instability, as we mentioned before. We have good directional shear as well. So when I say directional shear, if I'm looking at these wind barbs right here, you want to see a slight change of direction as we go up in height. So if you look towards the surface to the 850 right here, there are the numbers. You can see it. See how these barbs are starting to slowly change direction and kind of twist a little bit? That's one of your warning signs right there. And as we go higher up, notice how the barbs continue to change directions. With, like, the direction that they're pointing at continues to change. Clear indicator right there that we have good directional shear, and also we have some pretty good speed shear here too. I want to see these upper level winds be a little bit higher, but I do see signs for maybe the potential for some strong tornadoes as we head into Sunday here. So, I mean, we pretty much just backed up all of our evidence just by looking at about maybe, 4, 5 different parameters pretty easily. So, like I said, I'm really thinking towards central Oklahoma as the point of interest there. And then as we go into the following day, we watch that threat kind of migrate off to the north and east a little bit towards east central Kansas. And it's ironic that we have pretty similar values here in regards to the Cape with that. It's almost like it just barely kind of nudges itself off to the north and east just a little bit. Shear here lacks just a little bit, but I do think the timing might change with this. If I move this up another 3 hours, there it goes. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to go back to 126. You could see shear's kind of lacking. Low level jet usually starts to pick up around this time. This will be just after sunset. So move this forward another 3 hours. Boom. So somewhere within that 3 hour period, that's when I would expect the tornado threat to really ramp up. Does look like we end up getting a cap that comes in behind this and kind of seals the deal for storms here. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of convective mode we get with this. But in any case, though, plenty of instability overnight. Once again, good directional shear, good speed shear, especially at the lower levels. Need to keep an eye on that. Could see a dangerous setup for maybe some nocturnal action here as we get later into the evening. Maybe even a rain-wrapped supercell, possibly, if things pan out. Like I said, I don't really like trying to get too far into the specifics with how far out we are, but this has definitely got that look to it, to where you have to be extremely watchful overnight. And again, this is towards east central Kansas that we're looking at on that skew T. Go forward just a little further. Do see the 21st here. And like I said, I do think this is going to be the diamond in the rough, or the sleeper here, so to speak. So this does need to get watched. Again, I think we're going to be looking at more of a linear type of event. And one thing that kind of also tells me that is when you look at the hodiograph, this thing right here, when you start to see it look a little bit more diagonal, that can sometimes show you what the storm mode is. Does it do it every time? No. But what I am seeing, especially with the 0 to 1 here, is that where with a tornadic sounding, you're kind of wanting to see a little bit more movement along this axis here. The further back this way or up straight that it goes, or more towards this way or curves that way, I mean, it could go all sorts of ways, but usually with this kind of setup, you would want to see it kind of go straight up this axis here and then curve out. But you don't really see too much of that, and you want to see it kind of accelerate as it goes from these numbers that you see here, like 0 to 1, 2, and then 0 to 3. You don't quite see that there. So while the tornado threat isn't quite as impressive, it does pass the mark here, especially at the surface to 1 kilometer, where we have that shear number at 27 here. Above 20 is what you're looking for, so hit our mark there. But the reason why I say damaging wind is definitely looking like the main threat here is because of the D cape here, downdraft cape. This is our potential for downdrafts, downburst. Threshold number is 700. You see the cursor right here, we're sitting at a 952. Just about what I would expect here. Also, like I said, that hodiograph kind of shows a mode where we could be seeing some pretty heavy rainfall, which also kind of helps aid in those downdrafts pushing towards the surface. But I do think we could see a mode here where we see a little bit of embedded action here. So we could see a line of storms with maybe some embedded supercells, tornadoes possible with that as well as we get into Tuesday of next week. Then as we go forward from that point, we do start to see a little bit of a downtrend. We still have chances for severe storms, although setups aren't quite as impressive. As we get further along here, Derek, unfortunately, I would say no. There's going to be some slower days, but there are days that I do anticipate things could get potentially more intense from the 19th onward. I do think maybe the 23rd to 24th might be a little, or the 23rd leading into the 24th might be a little slower, but even then, I still see signals for that as well. So it's kind of hard to say right now, but you just kind of have to be on guard. I mean, it's May. May's historically always been that month. So it's just kind of one of those deals, unfortunately. Of course, we'll be here, especially now that I'm not sick anymore and not blacking out on stream. God, that was embarrassing. I can't believe that actually happened. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Look at that. That is incredible. The amount of instability that's available here. Yeah, there's literally a chance of rain every day this week over towards your region. Like, isn't, but yeah, as far as the severe threat's concerned, there could be a couple days that might not be super busy, but there are some days that I'm keeping an extra close eye on. And when you say Midwest, it depends on which part of the Midwest. If you're towards the plains, 19th, 20th. If you're over towards Kansas, Oklahoma, you definitely want to be on the lookout there. 21st, maybe 22nd, I would say Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois. Want to be watching there. Then we might want to look back towards the plains around the time of the 24th and the 25th. That's what I've been seeing so far. Those look like kind of the bigger days, so to speak. The 19th, okay. So for Iowa, I would say 21st and the 22nd look like they're your bigger days to watch out for right now. 24th could be up in the air. I think that's a conditional threat as of right now, but considering the fact that that's 200 hours out, that can change at the drop of a dime. So the best thing I could advise you to do is just kind of stay tuned on that outlook. As far as immediate though, 21st, 22nd, I would say. Look at those first, and then just kind of go on from that point. Local news will probably start talking about it too, so that'll kind of be your verification there. But if anything, if you didn't watch any other weather YouTubers first, you heard it from me first. Yeah, I'm just goofing around. But in any case, though, in all seriousness, those are the days you would want to look out for. Oh, okay. So this area we just looked at here, this is over towards Nebraska and Iowa on the 24th. This is right around mid to late afternoon towards this region on the 24th. Marginal tornado threat right now, but a lot of shear available. A lot of shear available, a lot of downward cape available, or downdraft cape. Definitely has that look of all hazards possible. But if I go 3 hours forward, that tornado threat does look like it starts to ramp up a bit. It's that downdraft cape, though, my goodness. This is an explosive environment that we could. Okay, so I take that back. Definitely want to look at the 24th now too. Derek, if you're still watching, 24th definitely needs to be something you watch. A lot of energy going to be available towards that area, so we could see all hazards possible. Wow. 4,000 joules per kilogram around sunset for Cape. Lot of wind shear available at the 0 to 1 level, or surface to 1 kilometer level. So dangerous, dangerous. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying. It still could be conditional. I'm thinking more to the south. It looks a little bit better there, but 24th, like I said, I was kind of on the fence about it. But yeah, you're spot on there. But if this does pop off though, the amount of cape there is ridiculous. 25th. Another look once again. Does look like it shifts a little further to the south here. Shear's not quite as impressive. See if we go back a little bit. Get a better idea. Yeah, it looks a little bit more limited on the 25th. Not what we were expecting. And here's the 26th. Like I said, it really isn't a point where we can't get severe weather. That's the thing. There could be some times where we get a little bit more capping or convective inhibition, which could slow down the storms. But that's not necessarily guaranteeing that that's going to stop the storms. Yeah, Gulf Mexico. You pretty much summed it up, man. Gulf of Mexico moisture can go burr. Yep, and that's what I've been emphasizing the entire time, Derek, is just everything can be pretty much turned over on its head, especially with models that update every 6 hours at that point. 200 hours, like think of how many model updates can occur in between that amount of time, just on this one model run alone. So it's just kind of hard to really say, oh yeah, this is definitely going to happen. And keep in mind, right now I'm just looking at only one model. So it can easily just kind of go, like it can easily just go the other way. Okay. 28th. Just, it's crazy how much instability we're seeing from these storm systems day in and day out. Like, it's just incredible. Not surprising considering the other parameters we looked at, especially when we looked at dew points earlier. Like you said, contingents, Gulf moisture go burr. Yeah, literally that's all it's doing. It's just being a hose. The Gulf that sounds weird. But yeah, the Gulf of Mexico moisture is just being hosed in, like fire hosed in, pretty much anywhere east of the Rockies at this point. And it just doesn't relent at any point. And as long as you have that in 80-degree temperatures, you're going to have a decent amount of cape available. You don't even, really at that point, you don't even need much. So, let's go and look at this region here. I'm kind of curious. Permanent trough out west. Honestly, it sounds about right. Honestly, no, I can't make that analogy. I want to. It would be funny. But I'm pretty sure somebody later down the line will look at this and they'll be like, what the hell? You might have thought what I was thinking and you might not have. I don't know if we're thinking the same thing. But but I have my thoughts, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Because I could think of some really messed up stuff here. Yeah, you missed the part where we were talking about temperature. We're actually going to go back over it in just a minute, and we're going to kind of compare the models in a second here. I'm just really more or less just trying to find the hours where we're more or less just still trying not to laugh, but I'm more or less just trying to find the hours where severe weather seems the most prevalent, so we can make our model comparisons. So that way we can look at multiple models at once instead of taking you through 10,000 models, which I'm sure no one really wants to see. Appreciate everyone tuning in so far, by the way. I didn't expect a lot of people to tune in for this, and it's fine if they don't. Oh, hello. The 30th here. Okay. So obviously, looking at the 30th, I'm not expecting a whole lot from the models here. So I'm just curiously gonna look around and see what's what. Probably not gonna see any crazy soundings, but still. Yep, no surprises there. And then here's the following day. No surprises there. In any case, though. Alright. Let's go back now. Should we start with this? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go all the way to 300. I'm going to go in the upper levels. Because I actually didn't start out with that. I usually start out at the 500. But we're going to look for our convergence and divergence here. We're going to be on our P's and Q's, so to speak. So I guess we'll start out with tomorrow here. And this is where we'll begin our model comparisons. Boop. Alright, so let's begin to take a look at things. Alright, so here's the first one here. This is our setup for tomorrow. Do have chances for all hazards, mainly expecting hail to be the main threat. Damaging ones also possible, of course. 5% tornado threat over here towards central Texas. Points of divergence here, right here, and right here. Look at the euro. See the same thing. Actually, we do not. We see a little bit of a trend off to the east here from the looks of it. GFS. NAM shows early signs of divergence towards central Texas. RAP's kind of favoring a little bit of the same here. And then, of course, British we disregard because British is kind of going hurler. That's a blooper moment. Yep, that totally just happened. So let's go ahead and move forward here. Euro, Canadian, GFS. Not much in the way of divergence. NAM, of course, shows it because NAM's halfway in slab mode most of the time. Let's go and look at that. And a crap ton of contamination. Sheesh. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. But even so, nah, I wouldn't be super worried about a tornado threat. Not a 0% chance, but not your high level like tornado outbreak sounding here for sure. Let's go with the wrap. Wrap's kind of showing a little bit of a decline in the divergence here. Still a couple sneaky areas here and there though. And as we go forward, we're just going to jump. You know what, screw it. We're going to jump straight to the bigger days here. Let's go ahead and go with OOZ here. This is going to be on the 19th. This is Sunday. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, by the way, folks. We're actually not going to use this for soundings, though. As far as the upper levels are concerned, divergence doesn't seem to be all that insane. Let me actually go back an hour, a frame. That is very correct, Derek. You are 100% right. You are 100% right. I've seen a few marginal risks that have even popped up, and all of a sudden, madness has occurred. Uh, Contingents is still there. Yeah. What was it? I know Matador was one from last year. That stream, we weren't expecting a whole lot. And it was literally just that one storm, and it ended up being rated EF3. So, I mean, the parameters were there, but it wasn't like, eh, man, that was a crazy storm. That was sickening. That's one we're always gonna remember. Every one of us, anyone that's been here long enough will always remember the Matador storm. Yep, went straight south. Storm, yeah, it's always crazy. Storms like Matador, and then also Cole was another one that was pretty crazy. The Cole storm. Hard to believe that that's been nearly a year already. That's insane. We need to talk about that. We need to just like have a discussion just to remember, just to kind of reminisce on that night. Like that was crazy, dude. TSMT. Oh. I was about I was about to say that. I was like, TSMT? Oh, that's just thunderstorm risk, man. That's just thunderstorm risk. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. At first, my mind started going to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for some reason, but I was just like, wait, no, that's definitely not it. See, maybe thinking thunderstorm risk. Then before I could even get the words out my mouth or even finish the thought process, you had me beat there. Okay, so hey man, you gotta remember, thunderstorms themselves can still be dangerous. Like that lightning is no joke. I've nearly been struck before. I'll tell you, it's a different feeling when you're outside, you're taking pictures of lightning, storm's not far away, and then all of a sudden it closes in, bolt of lightning, arcs over your head, makes the hair on your neck and your arms stand up, and then strikes a little bit of a ways down the street. But if that doesn't give you a wake up call, I don't know what will. Yeah, that happened to me about 4 years ago. Will I still go outside, take pictures of thunderstorms, lightning? Yes, but I'll be a little bit more careful. But yeah, if you, truthfully though, if you hear thunder, get your butt inside. Because don't play with lightning. If you want to mess around with her, she will mess around with you. Just saying. Just saying. Yep, that's correct. And then if I remember correctly, this one that people don't talk about a lot. I don't know if it was Allendale. Maybe that it was the Allendale, South Carolina storm. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Actually, I think it was last year. I think it was like maybe marginal was like a slight risk. It was like a confirmed tornado. May have been rated like EF1, EF2, but still a pretty significant storm on radar. I definitely do remember that much. See our diffluence here, by the way, on the 19th. It's a Sunday, by the way, to keep an extra close eye on. Let's go with 20th. Go 123. Got a few models to work with here. Do you see a little bit of a lean a little further to the north here? Rocky Mount. All right. Appreciate it, contingents. Okay. So for the 20th, does look like we see some diffluence over here. Or diffluence. Divergence. My goodness. It's 300 tie, not 500. Divergence over here, over towards Nebraska again. And like I said before, while it does seem like this threat is somewhat conditional over here, I do think that this could be a point of interest as we head later into the evening. If there's a cap over here and it breaks somehow with the amount of energy available, that could be a problem. And as we go towards the 21st, we're going to basically look at a similar time frame. Much more divergence here, so definitely seeing the look on. So we're just pretty much verifying the looks at this point. We're kind of just going through all the models here. We kind of dismiss GraphCast GFS here because it's experimental. It literally says it right here. Euro showing divergence here as well. It looks like the Euro's kind of favoring away from your area as of right now, Derek. Oh, yeah. That's one thing lightning has always done. Is make those car alarms go off. I remember in the early 2000s, like living where I lived, if lightning struck a tree nearby, which there were plenty of around my area, like it would just make half the cars in the entire subdivision just kind of go off. It was kind of funny to me, but at the same time, it was just like, this is not good. We're getting some really bad lightning over here. I hope my TV doesn't get struck because a lot of people don't know how that is. Back with the old box TVs, those were always prone to getting struck. I remember one time one of the box TVs got struck while my dad was watching a basketball game, and he was so mad. Rest in peace, Pop. It's funny. Some funny memories. Okay. So it's 23rd. This is starting to favor the Oklahoma setups that I've been talking about on Discord. Just in case anyone from there is looking right now. Euro's kind of not trending towards that being a thing. Allendale was actually enhanced risk. Oh, okay. Honestly, it's been so long I've forgotten. Yeah. Actually, when I think about it now, it was an enhanced risk. No. There must be another setup that I was thinking of then. I don't know. Dude, I actually looked, contingents, I actually looked earlier before I started the stream. Did you know we've done over 100 live streams? Like, everything is just kind of blurred together at this point. This is actually live stream 112. At the rate things are going, we might hit live stream like 200 between the way hurricane season looks and severe season right now. So, I don't know. Everything's just kind of blurred together. Everything's blurred together. Help me. Oh, man. I enjoy it, though. Again, appreciate you guys all tuning in tonight. Nothing crazy going on currently in the weather world, but it's more down the line that we're looking at. You get to see a more chill side to me, too, which I'm which I'm kind of happy to show off a little bit of that. I would put on some music, but I'm just trying to finish up for you guys though. Pause. Yeah, I think actually it was no, or was it earlier this year? Either it was last year or earlier this year. No, 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 no. Wait, wait, wait. I think it was the Tennessee tornadoes from last year. Was it? Daggone it! I can't remember anymore. I can't even remember anymore, dude. I really can't. Yeah, Ohio. Yeah, Ohio is a meme state when it comes to weather. Like literally, whenever I see storms in Ohio now, I'm just kind of like, "What are you doing? Why are you over there? Stop it!" Oh wow, you're really bringing that up. You know what? You suck. You suck. Why do you have to bring that up, man? Why you gotta bring that up? Why you gotta be like that, huh? Why you gotta be like that? Why you gotta be like that, man? Chill out. Literally saying I'm making you prank. Oh god. Damn, damn you contingents. I know I was bad tired. Mad stuffy right now. You gotta do me like that, man. Daggone it. Ah. Okay, so the next day, I'm gonna go with this. Ew. Now this looks a little bit more ominous. This is the 24th. This was the days that I was mentioning. Alabama is still a state. Don't know why though. Jeez, man, what's wrong with Alabama? What did they do to you? Alabama's not that bad. It's really not. It's really not. I like Alabama. I went there for a at least I went there for a football college football game at a historic black college. It was actually pretty cool. People were awesome there actually. At least they have counties. Dang. Why are you taking shots at Louisiana contingents? Why are you taking shots at Louisiana? What did they do? You don't like the fact that they have parishes? I don't see anything wrong with parishes. Let them cook, man. Let those guys cook down there. Does it throw me off? Derek, I'm gonna give you like a 4 out of 10 for that one, man. I'm sorry. Oh god. Well, I went over the basic parameters of severe weather, and now the street, now chat's gone, and now we know where chat's gone. From this point, it's going straight to hell. If they want them, hey, that's chill. Oh god, this is great. Oh god. Still a little bit sick, guys. Don't make me laugh too much. I'll start coughing. Chill. Oh, that's great. That is absolutely incredible. Okay, let's go ahead and see what we can compare here. Divergence. GFS is definitely on board with 24th. Euro, however, not so much. We're going to have to see what this one does over the course of the next few days here. See, this is why I sometimes always try to remember to look at the model loops. Wild mustache omega block. Speaking of mustache, I gotta get around to shaving. I don't want to though, man. I hate how I look when I shave, man. I really do. Cartoonville. Oh wow. Oh wow. Yeah. It's definitely one of those we get towards the end of the month. It's funny though. And it's funny how they use the CFS like they think we're actually going to use that for forecasting severe weather. Ha! Okay, so seeing divergence here on the 26th. Or 25th, excuse me. Oh, we even get South Dakota into the action along with Minnesota. Starting to trend a little bit more into that summertime setup where we start seeing these northern states get into the action now. That northern plains madness that Reed and the others talk about. Or that high plains insanity. Alright, so next one. The only time I use the CFS is whenever I do the Outlook videos, which one's coming up very soon. Hasn't happened yet. That's still looking for that sky noodle. I could picture you if that actually happens. Like everybody is gonna be running around in circles, and you'll be like, "Hey, I finally got my sky noodle." Oh God! Then it starts. Then it starts like spinning towards you, like, "Oh God!" It's so beautiful. Think of any object that could replace clouds, like staplers. That I would not want to think of staplers. I actually no. I don't want any object to replace clouds because that seems like it would hurt a lot, like a heck of a lot. Obviously, of course, once we get towards the end of the model run, yeah, if only my hair was long enough, I'd actually put on some music and do a windmill just for that remark there. But alas, my hair is not at the required length yet for a good windmill. I could do it, but wouldn't look cool. Boo. I know. That's what I'm saying. I know that's the point. You said the word. You said metal. Remember, it's Ty, metalhead weatherman. Metal. All right, all jokes aside, let's go over our big days real quick. Okay, so this is looking at the 19th. It's what we already talked about what GFS looks like. This is what Euro's looking like. Euro's not quite as impressive. Icon, not quite as impressive. And that's really all that we're in range of right now. Look at the following day. We already know what GFS is kind of looking like. Euro's kind of on board with the 21st. Or the 20th, excuse me. See what we look like on the next frame here. Okay, everything looks like it's... Okay, seeing a little bit of continuity here on the 21st. So this would be day 6 heading into day 5 on SPC. So this might be a day to watch here. Or day 5 heading into day 4. Still a little bit of discrepancy with the euro, but looks like it's a little bit more on board, kind of trending more towards what GFS is looking like. Still a little bit of a discrepancy though. Icon's definitely looking like it's on board here. So the euro's really the odd man out, so to speak, on this. You know what that I just saw that chat comment. Europe, Europe, your rope. Oh God, that sounds horrible. No, no, no. Europe. That sounds really bad. I don't want to say that anymore. I don't even want to say that. I think that sounds so bad. Dear, dear God. I don't know why I'm saying it weird. Weird stuff happens when it's late at night, man. Weird stuff happens while it's late at night. I said some, yeah, God, no. No, no. I don't even want to say it anymore. Like, that just messed with my head in the worst way. What is wrong with me? Yuck. That's not even like blooper. That's just half cringe, man. Europe. There we go. We got it right. I don't know what happened to my brain there in the last little bit. That was kind of scary. Signs of our diffluence, signs of our trough, all here. Elongated trough, positively tilted though. Let's go with that. Another trough here. A little trough here to the southeast might be interesting there. You. Okay. This is where I think we start to see more activity towards the central, maybe even the western plains here. 23rd. And here's the 24th. I'm interested in this setup a lot. I'm very interested in this setup. Do you think we kind of go neutral, maybe even negative tilt with this one? So I'm kind of interested in seeing how this pans out. Let's see what all the other members are showing. Of course, we know GFS is kind of going with it. Canadian kind of goes a little bit faster with the progression. It honestly does. Wait till you see 700. Look at that. Wait till you see 700. Euro's kind of on board with it. Actually, well, let's go and take a look at 700. Here's GFS for you right here. That's GFS at 700. Good short waves. Canadian's progression is a little bit fast. This is where the Euro is kind of going against the grain here again. Short waves are there, but not quite as it doesn't pop out. It doesn't stand out as much. I am curious. Nope, it's not going to show that. Okay. Daggone it. I was hoping that it would have shown that next frame, but nope. GFS only. Go ahead and look at that. Here's 850 for you, by the way. 24th definitely leans towards a Kansas setup here. Just to the east of Greensburg, over towards Wichita type setup. As of right now. Even the Euro kind of shows it, but Euro's just kind of all over the place right now. GFS is really the only one that's kind of showing it. Canadians or the GDPS, just forget it. And then go to the next system here. We're just going to move on. Looking at our instability here. Oh. Oop. Bad spot. Oh, no. It's a little further to the north. Marginal tornado threat. Boom. Daggone it, contingents. Come on. Alright. Ah! See, look what you've made me do now. Look what you have made me do. Daggone it. Now you say to ignore. You know what? I should have done that from the. You know what? No, I've hit the back button too many times. You're going to sit here and look at this daggone Ontario close low and like it. Okay? I've hit the back button like 50 times just to get back there. You're going to look at it. You will look at it. Whew. This seems like some stuff from SpongeBob. No, he was asking about a low pressure over towards Ontario. So because contingents is looking for a tornado, or as he calls it, a sky noodle. Setup isn't there right now, but he wanted to see that close low in Ontario. I was like, no, you're going. And he's like, no, of course you want to try to change the window when I look at the Ontario low. I said, all right, we're going back to it. It's like, nah, just ignore me. No, you're going to look at it now. No, I just hit the back. Look, I had to hit the back button 50 times because pivotal weather is very finicky whenever it comes to changing frames, like I do whenever we're doing the comparison. Move slider. He's like, I'm done with this. Ah, jeez. Crap, I don't even know where I was now. Dag, got it. Oh, it was in a different frame. You know what? Screw you two, man. Hell with you two. Ugh. Still stuffy. In any case, though, let's go back towards the 20th. Look at this area here. In fact, we're gonna do something a little different here. Yeah, this is what we'll do. Just kind of take a look at these skew T's. Start out from the 20th in particular. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what this has to offer. Good shear, cap, and play. Kind of works against it. You know, the funny thing is, though, a new run's going to be uploading for the GFS here in a little bit. So what we're seeing now may not be here within the next hour, which is crazy. So we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. So that way, not only that way I can go to bed, but so that everyone can, yeah. This literally could be all make believe. We were all fooled. Indeed we were. Indeed we were. In the last hour, it upgrades to where, like the Euro says, everybody gets slabbed. And then we see fair weather the rest of the month. I would love for that to be the case. Euro slab. Look at that downward cape, man. Holy. Almost over 1700. That's crazy. But very good low level shear with this. If it does verify, it could be a problem. Let's go with GFS. Of course, GFS goes a little further to the east. Yeah, this looks a lot better here. This is a good environment. Like I said, this looks like it's a good environment for hail, but also tornadoes need to be watched on this one. This is the 19th, the evening of the 19th, so Sunday. Again, need to watch that. This would be day 5, heading into day 6. So let's go ahead and move this 24 hours. About 21 hours, actually. Let's go one more. Right here. Yep. Lots of damaging wind reports coming at the rate the way things are looking right now. This isn't far from Baconator's area here. Low level shear is lacking with this, but I could see it I could see it having some potential here. And Euro goes completely opposite. Just says, no, we aren't even looking at a cap. Yeah, you're getting capped. Nobody's dealing with any of this. We're going to be hanging back way off to the west here. Yeah, incredible kinematics. Yeah, the setup on the 20th looks really good kinematically. Thermodynamically, it's there too, but just need some agreement from the Euro here to feel more confident about it. Hang on, let me go back to that. Like I said, this is actually outside of Baconator's area. On that dud sounding. This. Dude. You have to be. Okay, if you want it. Here. This this is the scan you're looking for, man. This is the skin you're looking for, man. Yep, we're almost on 2 hours. We're about to probably end this in the next little bit here. That's why we're looking at the hodiographs, QTs, looking at all the nerdy stuff now. Boop. Let's go to the next one. 21. I knew you were trolling contenders. I'm like, you have to be trolling. Come on. I know you are not going. I knew you couldn't be serious. Oh. 21st. A little further to the south here, actually, too. That's interesting. Watch how stark the comparison is, though. Oops, not what I wanted. Uh-oh. Might have broke it. Yep, I broke it. Because Euro saying absolutely not. We're getting a cap, and you're just going to sit there and not do anything. Of course, that's 21Z. Let's go ahead and also look over here. Because I think Missouri is going to be that focal point as well. Let's go ahead and look at Euro. Euro's not going to show anything. Okay. Screw you too. Let's go with this. Boom. 93. What the heck? Wait, what happened? I feel like we're... Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's only showing 18Z Euro, and I think that's what's messing things up a little bit. Whoa, okay. So GFS is showing something really interesting here. PDS Tour. Look at our parameters. We're where we need to be. We have... Wow, actually we have some really good parameters here. That's a little bit alarming. So, the 19th through the 21st, we need to be watching that. I'm actually going to save this so I can put this in Discord later. Right after the stream. But yeah, that's going to have to be... That warrants a lot of attention. Yep, that too. 3 SIG analogs. Several weak analogs to go with it. Good analogs nonetheless. The parameters, man, I tell you. Those parameters are really impressive. LCL is even at a good... LCL is really low. Like holy cow, that's low. Also looks like it might potentially be a rain wrap supercell if that does end up verifying. But the numbers are there. I'll put it that way. They're impressive. I like the way this QT looks. I like the way the hodiograph looks. If this happens, it could be some trouble here. Oh, so that's what our problem is. Hey, Atlanta, Florida girl. Caught us on the tail end here. Yeah, there's more coming over there, too. So a lot more coming. Plenty more coming. That PDS was over towards Florida. Not Florida. What am I doing? My brain isn't working. The PDS was over towards Oklahoma, towards Norman. What happened? That PDS sounding went away, but I have it saved. I'm gonna put it on Discord. Oh, went a little too far. I can't find where I can't find it. Can't find the time. Boom. And okay, so what happens when you try to look at a 12C euro? Although the instability here looks really impressive. Even the euro kind of favors it, although it's a little further to the south. If we could get the trough position, progression between these two to kind of match here, I do think that this could be a pretty big day, or a pretty big series of days. Like I said, this kind of has a setup. This kind of has the potential for like multi-day outbreak here for sure. Hey, I always try to keep my mouth covered. That's all it is. I know the old dab. Yeah, there's your dab. You happy? You happy, Derek? There's your dab. I'm very sore, and I did that for you. I hope that warrants like a Purple Heart or something. I hope that warranted a Purple Heart at the very least. The things I do for you guys, I tell you. Okay, let's look at 522. We might catch a break with that, but it's still not looking like we're out of the woods with it either. At least the shear looks a little bit lower on that day. I am leery of this area over here towards Arkansas. Yeah, it looks like we're okay for now. Okay, so I'm actually about to post it on Discord. Hold on. Hang on, contingents. Check SQT charts now. It's a conspiracy. Synoptics are a conspiracy. That's why you constantly get it capitalized. Alright. Check SQT now. Dr. Who? Dr. Cohen's. Okay, I see it now. Sometimes that little heart thing that you see in the chat, like, kind of cuts off the last part of what. Oh, Levi Cohen. Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. Now it's like whenever you look at chat, like if you look at it from the YouTube analytics, like I'm looking from YouTube Studio right now. You'll sometime Dr. Levi Cohen. But if you look on chat and you'll see that like heart emoji in the way sometimes, you can't always see it. Muggy, rainy, and that's part of why I ended up getting sick, man. Just day after day we got rained on. We've been getting rained on. Got rained on again today, actually. If I could just dry off a little bit, I'd be fine. Well, I think tomorrow will be the first day that we don't have a chance of rain. So, won't be so bad. won't be so bad. It'll be warm though, so it's gonna be a tougher day. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this wrapped up here so we can all go to bed. Appreciate everyone's tuned in today. We'll look at the 23rd. And this actually isn't really even the big day. The big day looks like it's really more towards the 24th. There is some potential over towards Nebraska, some potential towards a couple of scattered areas, but in Oklahoma as well. But I do think that as time goes on, like I said, 24th is going to be the big day here. This is the evening of the 23rd. Here's the 24th right here. This is conditional because a cap could come into play and maybe spare this, but if it doesn't, plenty of instability, good low-level shear, could pose problems for parts of Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri as well. Very familiar area, unfortunately. This would be on next Friday, it looks like, if this pans out. Look towards Euro. Again, this has been the big problem, and why we haven't seen any advanced slight risk is because we can't get the GFS and the Euro to match up on the trough progression. That trough progression is going to be key as to where we end up finding our instability. Euro's trough progression has kind of been lagging, so basically all the instability is going to be lagging along with it. Then tilt axis also is another thing. Go along with that. The trough's lagging, it doesn't tilt the same. So you don't have good model agreement, you're not going to see those day 4, 5, 6 and beyond slight risk issued in advance. So let's go to the following day here. Let's go to the 25th. You serious? Oh, wow. I think I know which one, actually. It's the second one, isn't it? Contingents. As far as that sounding that as far as that analog you're talking about. Yep, I did have it right. Okay, sweet. I'm starting to figure out how to read those finally. How about that though? Having 2004 Manchester, or was it? No, it was '03 Manchester. Get that right. Hallam was in '04. I've been doing my homework, or at least I've been trying to. Oh, wow. Yo, what the? I was seeing that and I was trying not to think. It's like I'm tripping, right? I was thinking to myself I was tripping, but apparently I'm not. Well, geez, that's kind of alarming. That's actually very alarming. The fact that we're seeing that sounding or that analog is very let me know what you see from College of DuPage if we can find it. kind of pointless though now, really though, because it looks like the new run's about to start right now. The new GFS run is literally just now starting to come in. Okay, so I'll go ahead and sneak forward just a little further. Okay, so I'll have to keep an eye on this one. Well, we're about to have a whole dump of SKUTs for Discord before we go to bed here tonight. That low level shear, if that increases any further, is definitely going to be a problem. Of course, that's nearly 300 hours out in closing. So, okay, so this is where we start to see our little downtrend here on the 28th. Maybe. And then this is another day that I'm interested in, the 30th and the 31st, folks. Not trying to get too far into this, obviously, with how far out we're looking, but definitely seeing some things that kind of capture my attention right now. With us being this far out, it's kind of useless to get too heavy into those soundings, but the amount of instability here definitely is a red flag. In any case, though, guess the last thing we'll do is let you guys see the loop, and we'll run that a few times. Anyone want to ask any questions in chat before we wrap it up here? Feel free. Wow, from 57. Yeah, if you could post that in Discord, definitely do, because I want to see some of those. I wish that DuPage had a more attractive look to it, like Pivotal Weather did. Because while I can use it, just like I don't know if it would be as appealing, maybe. Like I kind of want to keep it visually appealing. I want people to be able to see everything clearly, and it's a little hard to see, even though it's more accurate. Even though I do feel like to a point, College DuPage is slightly more accurate. Like especially during the spring and the fall, being able to look at 250 millibars versus just having to stick with 300. That's really nice. But in any case, though, we're actually going to go ahead and go back to the loop here. Boom. So this is what we're looking like right now. And we're just going to put it into a slow loop. Here's the date right here, the 16th into the 17th. You'll be able to see where most of the greatest chances of severe weather are, just based on the fact that you'll see more of the oranges and the reds there. If this was more high res, you'd probably get an even better look at the severe potential as time goes on here, but you can tell where the most activity is for sure. And look at how the pattern kind of picks up after the 24th. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Just one day after another. And this is the main reason why I'm streaming this, folks, because you need to stay on top of things, especially if you're out towards the Midwest and over towards the plains, because this is where business is going to pick up the most. Some of these setups do have the potential to be may be robust at the moment, but like I said, there's a little bit of model discrepancy. So while it's dangerous, it's not a shoe-in. And that's how it is with most setups. Even the big ones that do end up verifying, there's always those fail parameters and those in the realm of unknowns here that go along with it. So just kind of have to take it one step at a time and more or less just go on from there. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now. Otherwise, I guess I'll then stream. I'll give you a couple minutes. If you don't, then we're calling it a night here. I think I'll play one song before bed. Also need to take some medicine before bed because my tooth will start hurting soon, I'm pretty sure. That one I actually need to study. You said the 1957 Central Plains outbreak with the Ruskin Heights F5. Homework. Yes. Sorry, me pulling the mic forward. I'm trying to find the right height for this mic without getting my sound into the red too much. I mean, obviously, if it's really bad, I hope you guys would let me know in chat. Also, I do get a little nervous sometimes, and I get finicky, and I can end up moving the mic a little bit too close to me. So, like I said, if it's really bad, just kind of let me know. But in any case, though, want to say thank you to everybody who has tuned into the stream here. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that share button as well before we leave tonight. Appreciate you guys letting me talk to you about the weather tonight. Appreciate the laughs and the good vibes. We'll have a video probably tomorrow, getting a little bit more in depth with the setup towards the weekend starting out, and we'll kind of just go on from there. If you want me to do this format more, definitely leave something in chat or leave something in the comments after this video is fully uploaded to YouTube here, so, and put on video on demand. But in any case, I think we are about to get off of here for tonight. Got to go to bed and get ready for work. But again, nothing but love for you guys. Appreciate you. Again, we're going to call it a night here. Till then, take care. And I'll see you next time.